I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're taking a look at the inspirational journey of Junegrid Mary Baker. She's written a powerful book. It is called Blind Faith, My Life. This compelling autobiography shares thrilling and sobering life experiences where the author operated by blind faith, trusting in God's guidance every step of the way. Join us right now as we explore her remarkable story of faith, obedience, and divine provision. We're delighted to have this very talented author join us here today on Spotlight. We thank the team at Atticus Publishing for helping us put her in the spotlight today. And we ask viewers like you to support authors like her by subscribing to our channel and by purchasing her remarkable book. The links are below this interview. Junegrid, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Mr. Crawford. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm excited.
Oh, the pleasure is all mine. Tell us a little bit about your inspiration for writing this book, Blind Faith, My Life, and sharing your personal experiences with faith.
Well, to begin with, I just want to thank God for giving me this opportunity to be here to share my life with you and what inspired me to write this amazing book. It all started while I was in my mother's room. She prayed and asked God to give her a boy or a girl who will be a useful Christian person. And here am I. And it all started even while I was in my infancy. I always had that desire to walk by faith at that age, to live by faith. And growing up, I had so many experiences that compelled me or inspired me to want to walk by faith. And the most important time that I remember when that happened was when in 1972, when I took a step of faith and I gave my life to the Lord Jesus Christ at age 11. I surrendered my life to him and I said, Lord, here is my life. Take my life and do what you want with it. That was a step of faith because
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was getting into. So from there began my trajectory of a life of faith, taking that step of faith and feeling
Yeah.
a putback. Now, when you take a step of faith, it's not easy. There's always something or someone who tries to pull you back. But at that age 11, I launched forward. I entered into a life of faith. So from there, I got the inspiration to write this book.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we're glad you shared your journey because it truly is inspirational. I know you made that big decision at just the tender age of 11 to be an instrument of God's love. Could you describe a specific moment in your life where you felt God's guidance most strongly? Was it
Yeah,
then or was it another time?
it was another time. It was soon after my husband passed in 2021. I was at home and I had just I had just entered the campaign for to become a candidate for the school board, and that was a step of faith. As a teacher, I could not run as a candidate because there was a conflict of interest, and I took a step of faith, and I
Mm,
resigned from my teaching career just to run as a member, as a candidate for the school board.
mm,
And in doing so, soon after, I was not successful, but
mm,
God used that experience I had to open up doors for me to meet so many people
mm,
online. I met pastors who reached out to me because they heard my campaign. They liked what they heard because I elevated Jesus as the only answer for the issues that schools were having here in Oklahoma. It was very shocking to me that I was so bold. So they reached out to me in spite of my seemingly unsuccessful experience in running. I was indeed successful because they reached out to me and invited me to come to their country. One particular pastor from Sierra Leone, Africa, he invited me to come to Sierra Leone to host a conference for pastors. So there, because I took a step of faith, resigned from my teaching job, doors opened up for me miraculously that I never expected would. So that was one major time in my life that I took a step of faith, blind faith. And blind
Exactly.
faith is not really blind because
Yeah.
if you look at the cover of my book, there is an angels around the person who represents me. So even though it's blind faith, you have that assurance that God is guiding you into that step. And that is what happened there when I took that step of faith of resigning from teaching to run as a candidate for the school board. And miraculously, amazing doors opened up for me for ministry in Africa.
Amazing. We're never privy to God's plan. And when one door closes, another
Yes,
door certainly does open. You
yes,
didn't win that election as you hoped, but that
yes,
wasn't your path. That wasn't God's plan. He had better, greater plans for you.
yes,
Tell us a
absolutely.
little bit about how your experiences as an international bilingual educator influence your faith journey and your ministry work as well.
Yes, well, at age 11, I started learning Spanish and French in Trinidad and Tobago. That's
Wow.
my native country. And I eventually became a teacher for English and Spanish, French in my country. And now I never thought that God had a plan for me from that age, but He knew that He wanted me to be a missionary. So even though I became a teacher, Spanish, French, English teacher, He had plans for me to go to Colombia as a missionary in 1995. I resigned from teaching in Trinidad in 1995 and went to Colombia to become a missionary there. I spent 4 years there, 4 amazing years. I wasn't receiving a salary per se, as I was in Trinidad when I was a teacher, but those 4 years I spent in Colombia were the most amazing years where I saw God using me in ways I never imagined He would in ministry, to preach the word, to go from one region to the other in Colombia, to reach out to the people. I became different. I entered into different professions I never thought I would. I became a marriage counselor. I became someone who would teach them on deliverance. And oh, it was amazing how God opens incredible doors for you when you obey Him. So that was something major in my life too. And I knew that God was preparing me for the path He had for me at age 11 when I started learning languages, became a teacher, went to Colombia. Then I ended up here in the US where I started a ministry to the poor and the homeless. And this ministry became This Is What Jesus Will Do Ministries. And just in May, recently this year, we celebrated 25 years of this ministry, the birth of this ministry. So God is amazing how He just orchestrates your path, and the
Yeah.
important thing is to obey. Say yes, Lord, without
Yeah.
even
If you
knowing.
open up your heart, if you open up your mind, if you open up your spirit, you follow God's will, it will be a wonderful adventure, much like the life you're living right now, which is completely
Absolutely.
terrific and really wonderful. And it's in service of others, which
Yes,
is really great as well. Let's give
yes,
the folks at home an overview of the book and what message you hope readers will take away from living your life of
yes.
faith.
Well, my book is called Blind Faith, My Life, as Mr. Crawford just said. And I want to encourage the readers that your life, God wants your life to be one of faith. And as I said, it's not really blind faith, even though it is blind, but it's not, because when He speaks to you and tells you what to do, you know that He is there with you. So I want to encourage you, as you read my book, you would see many anecdotes, stories, experiences of my life when I took those steps, and miraculously God opened up doors of blessing. So don't be afraid to take that step, because sometimes fear, not sometimes, most times, fear causes you to miss out on the plan that God has for you. Take that step of faith. When He speaks, when you hear that small whisper in your ear, or you get that impression inside of you that God is calling you to do something, just say yes. Don't be afraid. Fear will cripple you, it will intimidate you to prevent you from getting to your destiny or your purpose, achieving your purpose. So the main theme of my book is to step out in faith. Do what He tells you to do, and your life will be so enjoyable. It'll be challenging,
Wonderful.
but enjoyable. Thank you.
Absolutely. Tell us a little bit about the vision for mass evangelism in Sierra Leone.
Yes, thank you for asking. Well, Mass evangelism in Sierra Leone started when I went there in 2022. I went with my son and we hosted a pastors conference and a youth conference. And I fell in love with the people. I adopted so many sons and grandchildren, and even today we have that relationship. God used me to reach out to the people in ways, again, that I could not imagine. And when I left there at the end of the conference, I heard God telling me that you need to go back there. So when I got back there, I was in my second year of my doctorate at Oral Roberts University, and I decided to do my dissertation on mass evangelism in Sierra Leone. And I will be going back there in the fall of this year to host a 3-day crusade. I have interacted with the pastors there whom I met in 2022, and there's a network of pastors with whom I'm working, and we are making plans to go to a different village this time, a different district. The first time I went to Freetown, but now we are going to Kono district where the needs are greater. There's much more poverty. The people are much more in need. So God led me to decide or to select Kono District, and I'm looking forward to going to minister to the people. I already have so many things to ship to them, and it's such an exciting time to mass evangelize in Sierra Leone, in Kono District. And I know that God is going to do miraculous things there. He's going to use me to just minister to the people, that his love, his care. And while I was there in 2022, God gave me a prophetic word for them that now is the time for them to rise up out of poverty into prosperity. He wants them blessed. And when I gave them that word, they were so thrilled. So we are going back there in the fall of this year to implement that mass evangelism crusade. And I know that many missionaries and pastors have gone to Africa before they laid the foundation. So what I believe God is causing me to do is to go and reap that harvest. The ground has already been laid. So now he's using me as his instrument to go there and reap the harvest that many who went before me have already done. We are in this together. It's a time to mass evangelize Africa, Sierra Leone specifically, as has never been done before. Thank
Amazing,
you.
amazing work, an amazing book. The name of the book is Blind Faith, My
Yeah.
Life. It is a compelling autobiography that shares the thrilling and sobering life experiences where the author operated by so-called blind faith, trusting in God's guidance every step of the way. Her story is a remarkable one of faith, obedience, and divine provision. It is a
Yeah.
story that is still being written page by page, word by word, sentence by sentence, even
Yes.
today, and will
Yes.
continue in the fall in Sierra Leone.
Yes.
Thank you so much for joining us here today on Spotlight.
Thank you so much, Mr. Crawford. It's been a joy and a pleasure, a great privilege to be here. Thank you.
The pleasure is all mine. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.